All right, so the first thing you have to do, remember the root position 1 is going to be the one that's a little bit weird. One of these chords has to be incomplete. You can either make the 5 chord incomplete or the 1 chord incomplete, doesn't matter. If you make the 1 chord incomplete, you gotta triple the root. If you make the 5 chord incomplete, then you gotta leave out the 5th. For all the others, you're gonna double the root for the 1 chord, because the 1 chord is just a triad. So, here, we gotta figure out what our root is. We're gonna put in the bass motion first. We're just gonna go from A to D. I do this because it just makes it easier. That way you've got the bass done, you don't have to worry about it. So then we're just gonna go up the chord and we're gonna make sure we resolve everything correctly. So our next chord tone in a 5/7 chord in the key of D, oh right, this is something you guys didn't do. You need to add the key signature. So that's probably the first thing we should start with. Since these are all in the key of D, you only need to add the key signature for the first part of the line. So here, just write E flat, G, or B. You don't need to do it in each individual column. I'll assume it's the entire way down. But make sure you get the key signature, at least for the first one. So now, the next chord member is a C sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my C sharp in here. And the C sharp happens to be the leading tone. So I know that I have to resolve the leading tone. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm not even thinking about the spelling of the next chord. I don't have to. I know the leading tone has to go up by step to this D here. So I've already got 2 of my chord members figured out for both chords. So the next thing I do, go up to your next chord member. You've got an E. That's not a tendency tone. Doesn't have to resolve anyway. So I'm just going to put my E here. And I'm going to make it resolve down to D because I know I want a tripled root, and that makes the most sense. You don't want to have any skipping. You want to move everything by step as much as possible. The only thing that'll skip is the bass. So then I only have 1 chord member left, and that's the G. So I put my G in, and this just happens to be the 7th, so I know my 7th has to go down. That F sharp. Make sure you guys can see this. And that's it. That's all you have to do for that one. Now when you do these, I want you to write this little line in between the notes to indicate the 7th and the leading tone. It's not that you're going to get it wrong if you don't do that, but I want to see that you are looking for the leading tone each time. Okay? Any questions on that? So then for minor, all you do is you change the key signature. So the key signature is going to have 1 flat for D minor, and you just make sure you make that leading tone, you raise it. I'd say about half of you didn't raise the leading tone. So you get it wrong if you didn't do that. All right, so I'm going to go back, get rid of that, leave our key signature here. Okay, so the next one, got a 6/5 chord. So that means the 3rd has to be in the bass. So again, I'm going to fill up my bass. Oops. Put the C sharp in the bass. It's going to resolve to 1, because that's my next chord. This also happens to be the leading tone. A lot of you ended up doubling this, maybe because you didn't realize the leading tone was in the bass. I'm not exactly sure why, but make sure you don't ever double the leading tone. It causes issues. If you double the leading tone, 1 of 2 things is going to happen. You're either going to resolve both of them correctly, and you'll end up with parallel octaves, or one of them is going to go up and one of them is going to go down, which is an incorrect resolution. So you can't win if you double the leading tone. You just can't do it. So then we're going to go up to our next chord tone. We've got an E. Again, I'm just going to take this E down to D. So I've got my 2 chord tones here. Now I've doubled my root. So with this, you triple the root. With all the others, you're going to double the root. Okay? So I'm going to circle this to indicate that I have doubled the root already, so I'm not going to do that again. This is not a tendency tone, but we do want to take it down to D, because if you take it to any other note, it's going to have to skip, or it's going to create a problem with the chordal 7th, because the 7th has to go to F sharp. So I'm actually going to turn this into the alto. All right, so then the next tone is our chordal 7th. It's a G. So I'm going to put a little line here, write a 7 to indicate that's the chordal 7th. And we're going to go down to my F sharp. So now I've just got to go back and get my root. And what you're going to find with these remaining progressions is you're always going to keep the common tone the same. Okay? So in all of these, you could actually just go through and do this if you wanted to, because the common tone is always going to stay in the same place. The other thing is that this E is always going to go down to D. So if we want to do that, we can. So now all you have to do is figure out what the 5th of your 5 chord is in D. Just put it in there, and then resolve it to 1. And this is actually a mistake then, because I wasn't thinking. Don't want to have parallel octaves, so I'm going to get rid of that. We've already got our E to D in the bass. Keep the A the same. Actually, we're going to do something with that too. So we've got our E. Now we need to put in our chordal 7th. Just put it up here. You can put it in any voice you want. Doesn't really matter. Just indicate that's the 7th. All we have to do now is fill in which chord tone. The leading tone, right? And make sure you write LT to indicate that's the leading tone. Okay? All right, so for the last one, we're going to put the G in the bass because we've got to have the 7th in the bass. That's the chordal 7th, so I've got to make sure I resolve it down. There we go. So now we've resolved our 7th. The only chord tone we're missing is what? Right here, our leading tone, right? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put, actually probably going to just make this the soprano voice, and I'm going to put my leading tone here. And then we'll double that. So we've got a doubled root there, doubled root here, doubled root there, and tripled root here. And that's all you have to do. So these are really easy. So what we're going to start doing is I'm going to assign you something short, like I'll give you 4 measures of chord progressions to complete in class, and then the very next day I'll turn them back to you like I did today. If about half of you or even a third of you are getting it wrong, then we'll do more exercises on it until we get it right. Because this is probably one of the most important chord progressions. You're going to see this all the time. That 5-to-1 chord progression, authentic cadences are really important. So you need to know how to resolve this one. If nothing else, you've got to get this right now. So tomorrow I'm actually going to do the 7, the leading tone chord to 1, and then next week we'll work on some of the other cadences you guys know. All right, so this is your homework for Monday. Make sure you turn this in. I'm going to put this on Web Campus. I'll take a picture of it or something, or you can take a picture now. Yeah.
So we've got to do this plus 17.284 and the midterm?
Yep. But the midterm's not going to be due until next Thursday.